Hello everybody out there in the 3D printing world. This is just going to be a quick video about some slicer settings to answer a few questions for some friends of mine. What I did when I first got my Taz is I went to Lulzbot's website, click on support, and then click on, see they have current now, click on slicer, and here are your filament profiles. You can click one of these. I have a Mac, so this might look a little different on Windows. Um, let's say I'm going to use PLA, and I want to use Fine. I would right-click this, download linked file as. I have a filament configurations folder on my computer. I put all these in. I would hit save. If it asks you to append the file extension to .txt or anything else, don't append it. You want it to save as an INI file. So go into Slicer, go to the top left, hit File, Load Configuration, and here's your profiles. ABS, Open, blah blah blah, and now I have what Lulzbot says are all the best settings, so to speak, for Slicer. And you can go through here and you can look at them all. Layers and perimeters, top 4, bottom 2, extra perimeters if needed, detect thin walls, avoid crossing perimeters. Somebody on the 3D printers page recently informed me because some of my slicing was taking hours, 8, 9, 10 hours. So what I do sometimes now is uncheck that and it'll slice a lot faster. I guess the crossing perimeters thing, I don't know if it uses an algorithm or something, but it puts a whole lot of geometry into the printing process. Seam position. If you're going to sand something down and you don't care where the seam is, you can use nearest or random. I like aligned because I don't do a lot of post-processing to mine. You can set your layer height for the first and subsequent layers. Infill, I usually have mine at 25%. If I need something really structural, I might go up to 40, maybe even 50. I've never found a need to go beyond 50. 50 is pretty strong. I print mostly in hips, so I don't ever need anything above 50. I haven't done anything structural with ABS or PLA. I've never touched any of these, though you can go online and you can read about them. If you have any of the questions about any of these settings in Slicer, I invite you to go to manual.slic3r.org. You can go through here and you can look at all of the parameters that you can alter. You can look at what all this stuff means in Slicer. It's really, really great information, especially for a beginner. I read through this when I first got my printer and understood about half of it. And then as I get further into my 3D printing, I come back here and I say, oh yeah, you know what? I didn't really know what they were talking about at the time, but now I know what they're talking about. And so this isn't a bad thing to browse through. Something I like to change is loops. I only do one loop. On the dual extruder setup, it automatically programs 4 loops per extruder. I don't think that that's necessary if you purge both of your extruders before starting the print. I usually purge them in Pronterface, though it's really, really slow in Pronterface. I don't know why it's so much slower on Pronterface. It's way faster if you do it from the LCD screen. I don't know that I can purge my E1 extruder from the LCD screen though. Anyway, support material, if you want to do it, all you got to do is check this off, and you can go through here and you can look at some stuff. I like honeycomb. I think it takes a little longer than rectilinear, but I like the way it looks. I rarely use support material though. Yeah, I find if I'm going to use support material, I'll use my SLA. Complete individual objects. This is the one I really want to talk about. This is my favorite feature of Slicer, and the dimensions of the extruder on the Taz 4. It allows you to print an object, then go to an area on the bed where there's nothing there, go back to 0Z, and print either the same object all over again or a completely different object. This radius here is important to note. For those of you who have 3D printers that don't have a lot of space from the nozzle to the gantry, you're going to be very limited on that possibility, because the bed movement is going to cause the object to collide with either the gantry or the extruder, or you're going to have the extruder or the fan banging into the object while it's on the plate. So if you plate some objects, I'll just throw some in here. If you plate some objects and you check the box for complete individual objects, this radius that you program in here, it's going to draw this blue line around your objects. And you can arrange these in whatever fashion you like. I don't know how to make it print front to back or back to front. I've tried it a few times. I can get it to work. It might be dependent on which object you place on the plater first. Keep in mind that the closer you get to this edge, the more tendency you have for warpage, because the edges are moving through cool air as the bed moves around on the y-axis. And so you might need some more adhesive, or you might want to just keep it limited to objects that can fit in the center of the bed. The most objects I've ever printed at once was 4 or 5, but they were smaller than what you see on the plater right here. I have no idea what that is. Multiple extruders. I do have a dual extruder set up, but I'm not going to go through that for this tutorial. I don't even want to call it a tutorial. Resolution. I want to talk about resolution for something because I use HIPS almost exclusively. I love it. And in this HIPS code here, the resolution default's at 0.01 millimeters. Somebody had mentioned probably about a month or two ago that it was rare that somebody actually got 0.01 millimeter resolution, and you can slice a lot faster if you change this up to 0.2 or even 0.5 or even 0.1. I found that at 0.202 I can actually tell the difference on some of the Christmas ornaments that I was printing, so I keep it at 0.1. Even if it's going to take longer, it looks a lot better. Just my printer. Filament settings. I use all Lulzbot filament, so I've never had to adjust this. There are some how-tos on YouTube on adjusting the extrusion multiplier and the diameter of this to get better effects. I suggest you watch those videos if you're interested in those settings. Bed size and print center. I love having my prints centered, and I love having this custom G-code here. At the end of the print, this G-code will turn off the extruder in the bed, and it'll not only hone the axes, but it'll kick out my y-axis to 250. I like that because I don't have to manually move the y-axis out to get the print off the bed. It can just cool where it's at, and I can just pluck my print right off the bed. Nozzle diameter, you set that on this is the very last setting in Slicer here. Set your nozzle diameter, and then there's a if you change this to say you're printing with a 0.5 nozzle, you need to go over here and change your default extrusion width. You might also want to change, let's see, there was one. Maybe that's it. Oh, perimeters. You might want to change perimeters too. I use a 0.35 nozzle for anything that I want to look good. Something that I don't care what it looks like a cookie cutter, I use a 0.5 nozzle because it's a lot faster. But I really think more people should use the 0.35 nozzle. It just makes things look amazing. I have a 0.25 nozzle, but I haven't used it yet. Let's see. You can use more to multiply. You can use fewer to subtract. Arrange, if you throw a bunch of things on here and you have them in some funky format, arrange will help them maybe be possibly in the best configuration. View, cut. I don't cut anything on here. I have cut things before, and let's say I didn't want the bottom half of this. cut sometimes damages the objects, and that one worked fairly well. And I've never used any of this. If somebody wants to chime in on this, feel free to. I love to learn and I love to teach. Until the next video, this is Nick with Blueprint 3D Printing. Thanks for watching. I hope I answered some of your questions, and I hope I helped you get somewhere with your printing. I want to suggest reading the Slic3r manual if you're using Slic3r. I love Slic3r. It gets a lot of bad talk on the forums, but frankly, I love Slic3r for everything except slicing AMF files for dual extrusions. If you throw in an AMF file into here, it doesn't like to slice. It usually just crashes. But that's why Lulzbot just came out with Cura. So shout out to Lulzbot for coming out with the support for Cura. Shout out to Rachel. And shout out to Claudio. He's answered a lot of my stupid technical questions.